We'll start shortly in about 40 seconds. I just came on early, so make sure that Facebook is in sync with reality, which is rare, but Happy New Year. It's espresso, not booze. I'm too old for booze. Not really, but it's not good for you. Here. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States. This is the Tibet Center. Our Tibetan name is Kunchab Tarduling, place pervaded by seekers of liberation, and we mean liberation. It's a Buddhist meditation and study center under the direction of Chögyam Rinpoche and under the administrative direction and spiritual direction also of Khenpo Thupten Lundup, the Rakto Khenpo, also known as Geshe Nikki Vreeland. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Stages on the Path to Enlightenment, the LAM Rim Chenmo. If there's any problems with the transmission or sound, etc., picture, let us know, let me know, or let Darren Smith know immediately so we can correct it. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website, thetibetcenter.org, in the FAQ section. Scroll down to prayers, so they're all there. We have continue the discussion from the 10th chapter of volume 3 of the LAM Rim, negating, the object of negation, which is the key to emptiness. We'll have some supplemental material, and we'll also have some general practical Buddhism to start with from Kongtrul Rinpoche, Dzigar Kongtrul Rinpoche. You've heard from him before. I wish to say Happy New Year to all our Chinese sisters and brothers. Gung Hai Fat Choi, that's Cantonese, I understand. I hope I didn't pronounce it too badly. But thank you guys for all your support over the years and for making us a family, an international family. I don't want to name all of you, but thanks so much. You know who you are, and we know who you are. But anyway, many years more, please, and many Happy New Years more. So we'll start with a prayer for the spread of the teachings, written by Yongzhen Ling Rinpoche, the previous Ling Rinpoche. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teaching flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living here together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. Okay, I got a text. I thought it was an emergency. No, it's not. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness There is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. I neglected, to say that if there is anyone for whom you want us to pray for when we do the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels, those who have recently passed, put their names in the chat box as soon as possible. Again, I don't see all of the chats. I have a small chat area, but everyone else will see them. So thanks. Try to remember the bully, and yay for everyone here. I see who's coming in. Okay. Refuge and Bodhisattva vow, which we recite 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge through the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge through the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the third repetition, you think you've taken the vow, and you're in the Buddha's presence because it's an omniscient being that we've posited, and she knows what's going on. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge through the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings, which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy, be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. And now we say prayer for the swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche, composed by His Holiness Dalai Lama. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang, Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tempe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So, before we hit the 10th chapter, the emptiness section of the LAM, 10th chapter, volume 3. This is from the text, Training in Tenderness. It's a guest translation is like the hallmark word, tenderness. Sewa in Tibetan. I think Ningje something heart-like, maybe Karuna. But anyway, you'll get the idea from the text of what he means. He means it's the natural warm feeling that we have instead of the nasty face we put on when we go on the subway or whatever. And we shouldn't do that. But anyway, what can I say? This is from this book, Training in Tenderness, by Dzigar Kongtrul Rinpoche. Dzigar Kongtrul Rinpoche. Page 43, Opening the Injured Heart. And this is about the, I was going to say American pastime, but international pastime, more popular in soccer or football, whatever you call it, holding a grudge. Seems to be popular in the past and in the present. Let's get rid of it in the future. So here's his take on it. Very interesting. This is information that takes away a lot of the conflict in our hearts and everything, so we could further study and then further help others. So Rinpoche states on page 43, another of the most common impediments to tsewas, this warm heart, is holding a grudge. If someone has caused you pain, it's challenging to keep your heart open to that person. Even worse, a grudge against one person or a few people can turn into a much bigger form of resentment, such as prejudice towards an entire group of people or animosity toward the entire human race. It's not uncommon for a few experiences of being hurt to block all flow of tenderness from a person's inherently warm heart. If you shut down your heart because of past injuries, life becomes a painful ordeal. Even if you hold a grudge against just one person, anytime you think of them or recall the time you were hurt, you will suffer. Since you have no control over when these thoughts will arise in your mind, that's true, things come up, you will always be susceptible to sudden pain. Welcome to samsara. And if you resent many people, whole groups of people, or humanity at large, you will be that much more susceptible. It will be like walking around a crowded train station in India with an open wound. There is no peace in such an existence, no matter how good your life may look from the outside. You're in the world in turmoil. Okay, he goes on page 44. To let go of our grudges, we must understand that we are not stuck with them. We have 2 choices. The habitual option is to keep holding on, keep depriving ourselves of the oxygen of tsewa, of the warm heart. The other way is to make whatever effort it takes to let go and thereby restore the naturally exuberant flow of love to our heart. We don't think of ourselves as this, but that's our natural state. We have Buddha nature. Let it come out. We may believe we're protecting our heart by shutting it down, but that is a confused way of thinking. Trying to protect ourselves in this way ends up being what harms us the most. There is a classic analogy. If an arrow wounds you, you can blame the one who shot the arrow for your injury. But if you then take that arrow and grind it deeper and deeper into your wound, that's your own doing. The past is important, but not as important as the present and the future. Big, big point. The past has already been lived. It doesn't have to be relived. To sacrifice the present and future by reliving past injuries is not the way of the sages. It's the way of the nuts, the nutty people. No, really. Past is past. That's it. You got to let go. Can't go back there. Oh, but its effects are here. Get rid of them. We have Buddha nature. We can throw them out. We have power. When we find ourselves caught in a grudge, we should notice how we are perpetuating the past. Something has happened, and we have put together a whole story around it that we repeat to ourselves over and over like a broken record. And we tend to be so stubborn about these stories. Quote, this is what happened, and there's no other way of looking at it. In this way, we continue to grind the arrow into the wound. Our mind and heart are frozen around this issue. How can we breathe our oxygen of sewa, or warm-heartedness, in such a state? Has this happened to us? Yes. We got to recognize it and knock it down as it comes up. The past is the past. Closing our heart because of a grudge doesn't harm only ourselves. Our negativity affects the people around us, such as our family and friends and those who depend on us. It makes it harder for them to be close to us, to feel relaxed in our presence. Though we may not act out with physical and mental abuse, our internal unhappy state distresses others. They pick up the vibe, especially our children, who can perceive us in a less conceptual, more energetic way. He's making a big point. They're reading energies and stuff, less conceptual because of their nature of their age. Think about that. Especially people always unsuccessful love affairs in the past, holding a grudge. Someone left you for this or that. That's tough, but it's done. Don't lock yourself up. This we know. On the other hand, overcoming our resentments and fully reclaiming our innate sewa, our warm-heartedness, our birthright to feel love and tenderness toward all beings, that's our birthright, brings tremendous benefit to others. In the present, those around us feel our warmth, which in turn induces their own sewa to flow. And in the long term, our tender heart is the seed of realizing our full potential to benefit others by attaining enlightenment. It opens us up to great compassion and to acting on that. Rinpoche goes on, some grudges are easy to overcome, but with others it may seem almost impossible to let go. Stay out of politics is my advice, number one. Anyway, perhaps someone has let us down again and again. Perhaps someone we were kind to has hurt us badly. The 8 verses are now recalled. Perhaps someone has been cruel to us and shown no remorse. But whoever these individuals are and whatever they did, we have to keep in mind the bigger picture of what's at stake, our wish-fulfilling jewel of Tsewa, and also our future. These bad minds throw us into bad realms. Let's not fool around. Worse than getting injured bodily. Sometimes it takes a lot of work to overcome resentment, but we are capable of doing that work as long as we are motivated. Motivation, motivation, motivation. And we will be motivated as long as we understand there's no good alternative. That's it. Ooh, what a little motivation can do, right? Billie Holiday? No one's old enough to remember that. Anyway, on page 46, Zigar Rinpoche continues. For encouragement, we could look at examples such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Think of their lives. John Lewis, another one, the American saint I call, who was beaten on the marches in Selma and stuff. And he said to his friend, these people are insane. He saw the humanity in those people who were beating him up. That's not their right mind. These people are insane. No, there are people who do this. These people, and countless men and women who are not well known, Rinpoche goes on, prove that we can keep our hearts open toward all sentient beings without exception, even those who have hurt us or are committed to being against us. They have shown us that it is possible to remain cheerful and strong in the most difficult conditions. We may believe that these heroic people are inherently different from us. Unlike us, we may think, they have divine strength or some magical ingredient in their minds that makes it possible to forgive. Do they? But that ingredient is nothing other than innate, universal sewa, warm-heartedness. I'll keep using that word. We have that same source of strength and forgiveness in our own tender heart. It's true that these great people have been able to put their tsewa to greater use than we have, but in our potential, we're no different. So, good news. We got to do the work, but it's good news. It's possible. So we shouldn't be blocked by false ideas. Oh, it's not possible. Or this or this. No. We might think that such strength in maintaining the flow of tsewa is not normal for human beings. It is normal to have aversion, at the very least, toward those who threaten or harm us. The fact that the Dalai Lama is not bitter or mean-spirited towards those who have harmed him and his people, but instead feels warmly towards them, strikes us as somehow beyond the normal. And it is. Most people would be damaged in some way by such suffering, but for His Holiness, painful experiences have only brought him more in touch with his most reliable source of happiness. The Dharma teaches us that we all have the potential to keep our hearts continually warm with a love that is more than normal, that goes beyond how people view us or treat us. Instead of being tied up with our attachment, as in the case with normal love, Sewa is based on the free and natural expression of an unimpeded heart. Somehow saying that this is our natural thing. It's been covered up, but that's our natural being, the warm-heartedness. Therefore, when we fully harness the power of Tsewa, there is no misfortune or aversion that can block its warmth from flowing. When it comes to forgiveness, how you identify yourself is crucial. If you identify yourself as an injured person bound to your grudge, you will be stuck in that self-created prison. Good psychology here. But that poor victim is not who you truly are. When your confusion is stripped away and your sewa is allowed to flow freely and exuberantly, you will find in yourself the same courage and equanimity as the Dalai Lama or Dr. Martin Luther King. This is true for all of us without exception, for the ability to forgive and move on is one of the many gifts of sewa, the benefits of developing this heart. The old benefit and fault analysis works, not only in business. Keeping your heart closed towards others who have hurt you is the natural result of perpetuating your negative storylines. Your negative storylines. It can seem like a satisfying way of repaying the injury, but perhaps unconsciously you are thinking, this person did this to me, so I'm going to get him back by maintaining a cold grudge in my heart. Yeah, that helps. Nobody doesn't know what at all is going on in your heart. Ooh, maybe your negative thoughts will make your enemies suffer. Maybe, yeah. Maybe he or she will even come to you and beg for forgiveness on their knees. But even if your best case scenario miraculously occurs, will it restore the mental emotional balance you've lost while depriving yourself of tsewa? Will it bring you the peace and joy you long for every moment of your existence? Or will you have just caused yourself a lot of extra suffering that continues to disturb you like a hangover? Ooh, Rinpoche, what are you doing with a hangover? And if the improbable desired outcome of your story never happens, how long are you willing to keep grinding the arrow into your wound? It's very practical. I'm sure there's not one of us who hasn't had this going on in their minds and hearts. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. What? Somebody just texted, you're the only one? No. Rinpoche continues on page 48. These are questions you must ask yourself in your darkest hour, sincerely and objectively. Being objective will require you to step aside from your emotions and prejudices and look at the bigger picture. A good habit to cultivate, by the way. Nothing bad with that attitude and that technique to develop in every sphere of our life. If you have observed the glories of the tender heart in your own experience, how does the possibility of fulfilling your storyline compare? How does it compare to watering the seed of tsewa and watching it grow and grow until you realize your potential to become a Buddha? Would you really prefer to collapse into your small, contracted self and its relatively minor concerns, as the world seems to be doing? Would you like that to be the dominant habit in your mind and heart? With meditation. If we ask ourselves these questions, we will inevitably conclude that keeping our heart closed is an unproductive way of working with our stories. A more intelligent way is to put the story in a bigger context. What is the one fact about every sentient being that never changes? Sounds like a joke. No, it's not. It is our constant wish to be happy and free from suffering. It's a constant wish of every being, from insect to 10th level bodhisattvas. Buddhas are not considered sentient beings, they're out of it, so they're better. The infinite differences in how we appear and how we behave are all temporary because they come from temporary conditions. I'll repeat it, the infinite differences in how we appear and how we behave are all temporary because they come from temporary conditions. Almost all of these conditions are beyond our control. They are based on other temporary conditions, which are based on more conditions, and so on. But underneath this limitless display of interdependence, we're all the same. No one is permanently one way or another, good or bad, right or wrong, for us or against us. When we hold a grudge, however, we see everything through the lens of that resentment. That's healthy, huh? Yeah. We see other beings who are equal to us at the core as intrinsically selfish, inconsiderate, or just plain bad. They can even appear to us as permanent enemies. That's a lot of work to do all that, you know? Right now, Rinpoche continues, we may be having a lot of turmoil around one particular person. If so, we should ask ourselves, has it always been this way with them? If not, then what has changed? Have they really changed at the core? Or is it that temporary conditions have changed? Will it always be this way in the future, or does that also depend on temporary conditions? Oh, yes, it does. We will quickly realize that people in our relationships with them are always changing. Don't project the fixed world and inherently existing world on something that's not. All this meets back to the doctrine of emptiness. So we will quickly realize that people in our relationships with them are always changing. There is no malevolent, unchanging person who has always been and will always be against us. So if the conditions are responsible for what has gone wrong, does it make sense to hold on to blame? The object of our grudge is in fact quite innocent, like a child. He or she only wants to be happy and free from suffering, but unfortunately sabotages these desires out of ignorance. If we were under the same conditions, we will be acting in the same confused way. Shantideva says some people out of confusion even kill themselves and hurt themselves. Of course they're going to hurt others. No, think of that. Rinpoche goes on, in fact, we ourselves, though we may be well educated in the Dharma, can't help harming others from time to time because of our own conditions. No sentient being is exempt from wrongdoing, but no one is intrinsically bad either. This is how we can understand things when we're not blinded by our resentment. So another point to take away, this resentment makes us ignorant, blinds us, puts us in our own prison, but on and on and on. Okay, you got it. From the Buddhist teachings point of view, nothing happens by chance. Every effect has its causes. This is the law of karma. Sometimes the relationship between cause and effect is immediate and obvious. You drop a glass, it breaks. You don't sleep enough and you feel lousy. Hey, here. Sometimes karma is a little more subtle, but still observable. We may need someone to point out the cause and effect so we can study it in our own experience until we are convinced. A good example here is Sewa. When our heart is open, we feel joy. When it's closed, we feel pain. That's how karma works. Very simple. I'm going a little over the time I allotted to myself. No, I still got 2 minutes. But this is important because it's easy to understand and helps us immensely. At least it helps me. I hope it helps you. In the majority of cases, however, karma is too intricate and far-reaching for ordinary beings like ourselves to be able to comprehend it fully. To use some classic Buddhist examples, we don't know why peas are round or why peacocks' tails have iridescent eyes. I know you don't. But just because our vision is too limited to trace back a vast array of causes doesn't mean things happen at random. If they did, then why would farmers plant seeds and expect crops to grow? Why would we do anything and expect a result? A mixture of karma and randomness is also illogical. For how would it make sense for some things to happen due to cause and effect and other things to happen by pure chance? Chance is just an illusion. And I bring you back to His Holiness's quote to Dr. Wallace. Um, they were watching a quantum display, and the scientist said, no, we don't know why this particle acts this way. There seems to be no reason for it. And His Holiness said, no, no, no. If things didn't have a cause, they would never be there, or they would always be there. They'd always be there or never be there if they weren't caused. So not everything is caused. So chance is just an illusion. We say that a roll of the dice is random because there is no way for anyone to predict the outcome. But is it truly random? Las Vegas, are you listening? Is it truly random? No. There are clearly causes leading to a result. There is no such thing in this universe as genuine randomness. It is hurt. If you hurt someone, it's natural for them to want to repay the injury. So if they hurt you back at some point, you will probably understand where they're coming from, unless you remain caught up in the strong emotions or just keep justifying your previous actions. When you wise up to the mutually destructive pattern and its potential to go on, you will be in a good position to realize that the best course of action to open your heart and put an end to the cycle by forgiving. Put an end to this by forgiving. Just a little bit more. Here's one powerful technique for opening your heart towards someone against whom you hold a grudge. This works by tapping into the kindness and joy that already arise in the course of your life. When you notice yourself feeling tenderness toward another being, your parent, your child, a friend, a pet, bring to mind the person you resent. Ruin the whole time, right? Now, bring to mind the person you resent. Then, with one sudden movement of your mind, see if you can transfer your warm feeling to that person. Feelings there, throw it at that person. Interesting technique. There's a lot here. This abrupt shift can short-circuit your storyline and establish conditions in your mind to feel more open towards the object of your bitterness. This is done mentally. You don't have to stand on a roof and you scream it out. Of course, this technique and any other will work only for those who really want to get over their grudges. In some cases, you may feel more justified in holding on to your resentment. For example, what about when someone causes you pain and you feel like you've done nothing to deserve it? Unreasonably hurts me very badly. The 8 verses, all over this thing. This is a good time to think about the vastness of karma. Who you are and what your experience in this life is infinitely varied and complex. The story of your life includes your physical and mental attributes, your habits and preferences, and the people around you, the places you inhabit and visit, countless events, good and bad fortune, and so much more. Could all the causes of this intricate web of detail be located within the few decades since your birth? Many decades since my birth. Anyway. And what about the causes of those causes and so on? Wouldn't this be a severely limited way of looking at things? So we'll cut it at that because it's kind of late. But because we have to cover some of the material we promised last week. But I recommend this book if you can. It's a very short book. I got it on Amazon, of course, but it's around. Training in Zigar Control. So he's alive and teaching, etc. He's on YouTube, etc. You could, very, very intelligent, very realized being, in my opinion. But what do I know? Okay, last week, I promised we'd go over the 8 objections of the other schools briefly. We'll just, instead of going through all 8, Geshe Sopa, we'll go to his commentary for this. We'll go back to the LAM rim. They'll go through the points quickly. The early Tibetan scholars, this is on page 78 of Geshe Sopa's Steps on the Path to Enlightenment, LAM rim, volume 5. Tsong-kha-pa is bringing up all these other schools' objections and why to the Madhyamaka view of the object of negation. The first one of these early scholars, Geshe Sopa says, is the fact that things can't withstand ultimate analysis. No matter what is examined, whether pure or impure, not even an atom of it can bear ultimate analysis. These scholars have a general understanding of the Madhyamaka view that unable to withstand ultimate analysis and empty of inherent existence mean the same thing. However, they expand on this and on this view and say if nothing can withstand ultimate analysis, nothing can exist at all. That's their problem right there. So they consider everything to be the object of negation, their first fault. Their second point, the teachings given in the sutras, such as the pile of precious things, the Ratnakuta, which we mentioned a few weeks ago, on the four alternatives, propounding that things are not existent, not non-existent, not both, not neither, show that nothing exists. There is nothing that is not included in one of these four alternatives, therefore everything is rejected. They took the wrong way, the wrong take on that. Third point is based on the knowledge of Arya beings. We talked about this last week, those who have seen emptiness directly. So whatever is known by their supreme wisdom in meditative equipoise must be real, and they don't see anything, so nothing's around. Again, we'll repeat what we say 10,000 times. Rinpoche said to me many times, the equipoise looking for inherent existence, that meditative equipoise that directly sees emptiness, is not an authority for the regular world. The regular world gets by without analysis. And the regular world is legit, it exists, and if you don't think it exists, start carrying on as if it didn't, see what happens. So that's that. The fourth point, we accept that there are things, if we accept that there are things such as production, cessation, and so on, we should ask, can these things withstand ultimate analysis? And they're saying that these scholars do not understand that there is a huge difference being unable to withstand ultimate analysis and being negated by ultimate analysis. Tsong-kha-pa says it's essential to be aware of this difference, so we will discuss it later. So there's a conflict that being unable to withstand ultimate analysis is one thing, but being negated by ultimate analysis is another thing. Has to be understood. The fifth point, if we assert the existence of production, cessation, and so on, we should ask, are these things established by valid knowledge? Usually, established by valid knowledge is the necessary criterion for something to exist, conventionally. If something is established by valid knowledge, it exists. If it is not established by valid knowledge, it doesn't exist. And here we go again. You ready? You got it, the rabbit horn. For example, a rabbit horn does not exist because there's no valid knowledge that observes it. In general, there are two types of valid knowledge: ultimate valid knowledge that ascertains reality, and conventional valid knowledge, and that's what they're talking about, and they've confused them. That perceives forms, sounds, and so on, and discerns right from wrong. That's very legit. Well, we're skipping a little because it'll be very, very long-winded. The seventh point, what was that, the sixth? Did we do the sixth? The fifth? Sixth point, we accept production, we must accept it conventionally. That's all. We accept conventional production. There's no ultimate perfection, yes, but the conventional production there is. Why would farmers plant crops, as Geshe Sopa said, as everyone says. Madhyamikas do not accept anything to be ultimately existent. However, accepting it as conventionally existent is also incorrect, they're saying, but they're wrong. The ultimate analysis rejects production from self, from others, or both. There is no production neither ultimately nor conventionally. They're wrong there. Seventh point, if we agree there's no production of any of the four alternatives, self, others, both, and without cause, they'd still assert there's production. Then our negation of production using the full alternatives fails. Nagarjuna, here's the key to this, uses the logical reasoning of the four alternatives to negate ultimate production. That's all he's talking about. He's not saying regular production. There is no this, no that. Like in the Heart Sutra, it's a qualified no, 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 no. No inherent. That's all. That's what that means. So you, over and over again, we'll be discussing this. The last point is that the argument of whether you should put the qualification ultimately, the Svachankras says do that, and you shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. We won't do that. But here's the gist of the whole thing. Page 82. All of these above are arguments of those who accept too broad an identification of the object of negation. They got rid of too much. Their object of negation is the existence of all phenomena. That's their object. Yes, rather than the inherent existence of all phenomena. There's the big difference. That's all. Understand that and you eliminate a lot of trouble, confusion, and surus, or whatever the word you want to use, ajita. So that's that. We'll go right to the Lamrim now. But first, no, we won't. A little story from His Holiness's book. I'm mixing it up tonight to keep everybody on their toes, even though they're sitting down. A quick story about things being empty of inherent existence and yet still functioning. This is from Realizing the Profound View, Volume 8 of this great series, The Library of Wisdom and Compassion. His Holiness Dalai Lama. They tell the story. This is the Questions of King Milinda Sutra, sometimes King Menander. He, I think, was Greek. Like Alexander the Great or Macedonia, some had come into India and installed some people. I guess, I don't know. The one who knows Indian history best is Dr. Thurman. Some of his books on that are very good. So anyway, whether they're fictitious or not, the story has a good meaning. So this is from, the text is included in the Khuddaka Nikaya of the Sixth Council, blah, 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 etc. So it tells the meaning of the King Menander, who was the king of this area, asked the Buddhist monk Arhat, important now, Nagasena, about the nature of the self. This book relates a witty yet pointed discussion between these two. After greeting each other, how you doing? Hey, king, how are you? The king asks the monk for his name. He replies, Nagasena, and goes on to explain that it is only a designation, that there is no self or soul there. Puzzled, the king asks, who lives an ethical life? Who meditates? Who attains nirvana? Who kills, steals, lies, and creates other non-virtues? If there is no person, then there cannot be virtue or non-virtue. Is he negating too much here? Ooh, I don't know. There would be no one who creates virtue and non-virtue, and no one who experiences the result of karma. If that is the case, there are no Buddhist teachers, and Nagasena's ordination is void. Well, you're telling me you don't exist. So it's king. And Nagasena didn't flinch, but simply replied, I don't say that, great king. Great king, he's a diplomat. The king continued, asking Nagasena if there were any part of his body, or if he were any part of his body, or if he were any of the four mental aggregates. Again, Nagasena responded, no. In frustration, the king cried out, ask as I may, I can discover no Nagasena. Nagasena is a mere empty sound. Who then is the Nagasena that we see before us? It is a falsehood that your reverence has spoken, an untruth. Shame on you. Seeming to change the subject, Nagasena asked how the king traveled to their meeting. The king responded that he had come by chariot. Nagasena proceeded to ask if the pole, axle, wheel, spokes, framework, ropes, yoke, or goad were the chariot. None of these, the king responded. Is the chariot the assembly of its parts? No. Is it something separate from the parts? No, the king was answering. Nagasena called out, I can discover no chariot. Chariot is a mere empty sound. What then is the chariot you say you came in? It is a falsehood that your majesty has spoken, an untruth. There is no such thing as a chariot. The king then understood that in dependence on the collection of parts, the designation chariot was imputed. It was in such a merely imputed chariot that he traveled, and the king rode in it, and the king that rode in it was likewise merely designated due to the presence of the five aggregates. So later on we'll go to the chariot thing. They're using a car now, by the way. Things have changed. Soon an electric car. But little thing, nicely done. Thank you, Your Holiness. You're always pulling us out of the fire. The Lamrim itself now, hardcore, right back to the text. This is the reply to all those errors, showing that their assertions are wrong. And we are going on page 129, for those at home keeping score, of the Lamrim volume 3. Page 129. So he's going to show these systems contradict the unique feature of the Madhyamaka. And he starts off 2/3 down the page, identifying the distinguishing features of the Madhyamaka, and he's quoting Nagarjuna's 60 stanzas of reasoning, this Yukti Sastika. Through the Nagarjuna's quote says, through this virtue may all beings amass the collection of merit and wisdom, and attain the two sublime embodiments that arise from merit and wisdom. Seems like he's going off to, no, follow the narrative. Very clever. What this means is that Disciples who progress by way of the Supreme Mahayana vehicle will attain, upon reaching their goal, both the sublime embodiment of truth and the sublime embodiment of form, Dharmakaya, Rupakaya. This attainment, as explained earlier, is based on their having amassed along the path immeasurable collections of merit and sublime wisdom, collections within which method and wisdom are inseparable. Method is the first five perfections, if you will, giving ethics, patience, joyful perseverance, concentration, etc. The sixth is wisdom. So that's the wisdom component. That in turn definitely relies upon attaining certain knowledge of the diversity of phenomena, not only their mode of being, but how they work on the conventional level. This profound knowledge understands that the relationship of cause and effect, conventional cause and effect, Tsong-kha italicized that one, the translator did, but I'm sure he did something to make, is such that specific beneficial and harmful effects arise from specific causes. You don't negate that. At the same time, amassing the collection of merit and wisdom also definitely relies on attaining certain knowledge of the real nature of phenomena. So how they are in reality and also their diversity, the two things. They used to say manyness and how it isness. When they translate that better. Okay. This means reaching a profound certainty that all phenomena lack even a particle of essential or intrinsic nature. Certain knowledge of both diversity and the real nature is needed, because without them it is impossible to practice the whole path, both method and wisdom, from the depths of your heart. Very, very important. These are important points here. This is the key to the path that leads to the attainment of the two embodiments, the Buddha's mind and form bodies, when the result is reached. Whether you get it right depends on how you establish your philosophical view of the basic situation. We're on page 130 of LAM Rim 3. The way to establish that view is to reach certain knowledge of the two truths as I have just explained them. Except for Madhyamikas, other people do not understand how to explain these two truths as non-contradictory. They see them as a massive contradictions. However, experts possessed of subtlety, wisdom, and vast intelligence, experts called Madhyamikas, let's hear it for the home team here, have used their mastery of techniques for knowing the two truths to establish them without even the slightest trace of contradiction. It's in most of the prayers, the Guru Puja, see them as complementary, not contradictory. Please bless me. You're asking the Guru for this. Bless you to understand this. In this way, they reach the final meaning of what the conqueror taught. This gives them a wonderful sense of respect for our teacher and his teachings. Out of that respect, they speak with utter sincerity, raising their voices again and again. You who are wise, the meaning of emptiness of intrinsic existence, is dependent arising. It does not mean that things do not exist. It does not mean that they are empty of the capacity to function. Big point. The king of reasons, dependent arising. Pardon. Scholars who are Buddhist essentialists may have great training in many topics of learning, but they do not accept the Madhyamika view, and their dispute with the Madhyamikas is as follows. Those are the realists, or those who say there's still something pointing out reality to things that's intrinsically there. So he uses a shorthand in this passage here of essentialists. Sometimes they call them realists. And they say, if all phenomena are empty, lacking any essential or intrinsic nature, then all of the teachings on cyclic existence and nirvana, bondage, freedom, and so forth are untenable. Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise states their view, and he's using now Nagarjuna the wrong way. If all these were empty, there would be no arising and no disintegration. It would follow that for you, the Four Noble Truths would not exist. They say that if this is empty of intrinsic existence, then production and disintegration and the Four Truths would not be tenable. The opposite of what it really is. Nagarjuna's refutation of objections also states an essentialist's objection. If all things are completely without intrinsic nature, this is Nagarjuna taking their part. If all things are completely without intrinsic nature, then your words also lack intrinsic nature. They cannot refute intrinsic existence. This is a dialogue he set up, and now he's going to answer it. You're saying everything lacks inherent existence, so your words can't lack themselves. They can't do anything. They say that if words lack intrinsic nature, they can neither refute intrinsic nature nor prove its absence. They argue from the supposition that if there is no intrinsic nature, then the agents and objects of production are not tenable, and neither are the processes of refutation and proof. Hence, they dispute with us on the grounds that the arguments which refute intrinsic existence will refute all functionality, over negating. Somebody, a small voice said that. Yeah. Therefore, when essentialists and Madhyamikas debate about their disparate tenets, they debate exclusively about whether all the teachings about cyclic existence and nirvana can be appropriate for that which is empty of intrinsic existence. Oh yeah, what chariot did you ride in, King? The one that, but it still got you here. That's the gist of the argument. So, hence, the distinguishing feature of Madhyamik is the admissibility of all teachings about cyclic existence and nirvana, the agents and objects of production, refutation, proof, and so on, in the absence of even a particle of essential or intrinsic nature. That chariot rolled on without any bit of intrinsic nature. And we move around and get things done without any bit of intrinsic nature. Let me see if we have time. This we have to end here, but we're going to flesh this out Wednesday night. Very important part because it's key. If you can understand this, you'll sail through a lot of the other things they say, except for me. That's fine. But anyway, we're leaving off on page 131, and I'll pick up from there on Wednesday night, which is what, 25th, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. For whom will we pray? David Crosby, yes. California shooting victim, oh yes, in the middle of New Year. Bulla Bulla, Rodna. Yay. Bob Kavanaugh. Boo Kavanaugh. Thank you, Jane. Tong Len, yes. Why the many repetitions of non-inherent existence? Because that's the way things are. They're non-inherently existent. And as we go about our life, we are living non-inherent existence, whether we know it or not. So that's Sherry's contribution to the life of our class. Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. Prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavad, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who rise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavad, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Yana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions, the results, in other words, are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And I hope the hearts of those who suffered the loss of their relatives are cured and healed. It's the contrast of happy celebration and death. So we're meeting the Dharma for that purpose, to eliminate that from the world. As a further cause for the quick return of Rata Chungla Rinpoche, His Holiness recommends we say this prayer for the flourishing of J. Tsong-kha-pa's teachings on the website, of course. Though he is the father and producer of all conquerors, as a conqueror's son, he produced the thought of upholding the conqueror's Dharma in infinite worlds. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. When of yore in the presence of Buddha Indraketu, he made his vow, the conqueror and his offspring praised his powerful courage. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. That the lineage of pure view and conduct might spread, he offered a white crystal rosary to the sage, who gave him a conch and prophesied. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. His pure view free of eternity or destruction, his pure meditation cleansed of dark fading and fog, his pure conduct practiced according to the conqueror's orders, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Learn, since he extensively sought out learning. Reverent, rightly applying it to himself. Good, dedicating all for beings and the doctrine, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Through being sure that all scriptures, definitive and interpretive, were without contradiction, advice for one person's practice, he stopped all misconduct. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Listening to explanation of the three Pitakas, realized teachings, practices of the three trainings, his skilled and accomplished life story is amazing. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Outwardly calmed and subdued by the hearer's conduct, inwardly trusting in the two stages practice, he alive without clash the good paths of Sutra and Tantra, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Combining voidness, explained as the causal vehicle, with great bliss achieved by method, the effect vehicle, heart essence of 80,000 Dharma bundles, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. By the power of the ocean of oath-bound doctrine protectors, like the main guardians of the three beings' paths, the quick-acting Lord Vaishravana Karma Yama, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. In short, by the lasting of glorious Gurus' lives, by the earth being full of good, learned, reverent holders of the teachings, and by the increase of power of its patrons, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. And now we will do 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others, out of jealousy, treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I had benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness, directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the eight worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. The like illusions is very important. If you think they're illusions, you don't act properly. Again, I want to repeat Happy New Year to all our Chinese sisters and brothers. Bless your hearts for all you've done for us and for the Dharma. It's incalculable. So the next class will be Wednesday night from the parsonage in South Orange. All are welcome. And then there will be a Tara gathering this at 1 o'clock this Saturday, the 28th, at 1 in the parsonage. Everyone is welcome, and there will be refreshments. There will be a puppet show. No, there won't be a puppet show. But you're all welcome. Hope the weather holds and you can walk around and get some fresh air, those of you who travel. So thank you so much. I know this stuff is very thick and dense, but at least hearing it once, letting it roll, it's a big change in our being, and it'll always last. And these teachings stay with the mind eternally. So not the conscious mind all the time, but they're there. So thanks so much for your kind patience. Big love to all of you.